When the call came in, I was thrilled. A discovery in the deep Amazon, bones they couldn't explain. Something massive. Something ancient. I've spent my life chasing fossils, and this sounded like the find of the century. I called Ben as soon as I got the news. We hadn't been on a trip together in years. He was still active military, but always found ways to sneak off when things got interesting. "You in?" I asked. He didn't hesitate. "Dinosaurs in the jungle? I'm packing already." We met on a dig in Egypt 15 years ago. He was security. I was the scientist. Since then, we'd crossed deserts, mountains, even war zones. He was more than a friend. He was like a brother. We flew out on a private military chopper. No logos, no names. Just us, a few scientists, and a small team of armed men. The government wanted this kept quiet. The chopper dropped us deep in the rainforest. The trees rose like walls around us. Thick, green, alive. I'd never felt so cut off from the world. We hiked for a day before we reached the camp. It was already set up. Tents. Equipment. A large tarp covering something big in the center. Dr. Carrillo, the lead scientist, greeted us. "You're just in time," he said, grinning. "Wait until you see it, it's spectacular." The small group of scientists began murmuring to each other in anticipation. Dr. Carrillo pulled back the tarp. All went silent. What lay beneath took my breath away. The creature was huge, at least 35 feet long. Its body was like a theropod, but the head was different. Longer. Narrower. Almost human, Ben in shock said. "What the hell is this thing?" "It's not fossilized," Carrillo said. "It's preserved. Flesh, muscle. As if it died yesterday." That wasn't possible. But I could see it with my own eyes. No signs of decay. Skin like stretched leather. Eyes sunken, but still there. "Where did you find it?" I asked. "Cave system," he said. "Uncovered after a rock slide. It was lying there. Like it had been waiting just for us." He chuckled. Ben looked at me. "This is big. You know that, right?" I nodded. "Bigger than anything we've ever found." That night we celebrated. Opened some cheap whiskey. Sat around a fire and talked about all the places we'd been. All the things we'd seen. "Remember that time you tried to steal a chicken?" "I remember your dumbass army crawling all the way to the coop from the tree line. When that old dude swung his door open with the shotgun, saw you, the look on your face was priceless." "Best $20 I spent," Ben said, laughing. "Yeah, those were good times, man. KFC never felt the same after that," I said jokingly. "I miss this," Ben said, tipping his flask at me. "Feels like old times." "Me too. When we get back we gotta hang out more," I said. That was our last enjoyable night we had together. I woke up screaming, covered in sweat. I couldn't remember the dream. Just darkness. And a sound. A deep, gargling growl, like something breathing through water. Ben was already awake. Sitting up. "You too?" "Yeah," I said. "What the hell was that?" We laughed it off the next morning. "Just jungle dreams," we said. Nothing to worry about. But the air felt heavier. The camp quieter. Like the trees were watching. Carrillo seemed off. Tired. His hands shaking. "Don't you feel it?" he asked me. "The pressure. And the ground is, I don't know, breathing?" I wanted to tell him he was being dramatic. But I felt it too. A pulse in the soil. A hum beneath our feet. Ben and I went to the site where the body was found. The cave was strange, deep and narrow. The walls inside were covered in carvings of spirals. Look at this, Ben said, running his hand across the stone. These symbols, they look ancient, but they feel fresh. We took pictures of the carvings inside the cave, thinking they might be part of some lost civilization. At first glance, they seemed tribal, spirals, shapes, and jagged lines chiseled deep into the stone. But the longer we looked, the less they felt like art and more like warnings. Each symbol stirred a strange discomfort in my stomach, as if my mind refused to fully comprehend them. I could feel them watching me, crawling behind my eyes. This isn't just decoration, I said to Ben, trying to sound calm though my voice trembled. These are warnings. Ancient, maybe religious. I traced one of the deeper spirals with a gloved finger. The rock felt too warm. Ben leaned over my shoulder and nodded slowly. Or their instructions, he said darkly, for something none of us should follow. We pressed deeper into the cave, our flashlights piercing the gloom. The passage dipped downward, curving like a snake's spine. The air grew thick, cooler with each step, and carried a coppery tang. We hadn't spoken for minutes, the silence stretched tight as wire. I felt something watching from the stone itself. Then we found it, another body. Unlike the dinosaur above, this one was humanoid but grotesquely twisted. Its limbs bent in ways no human body should, and its skull was stretched, deformed, yet unmistakably once human. It knelt before a cracked stone pillar covered in the same spirals. We didn't speak. There were no words. Ben lifted his flashlight to the ceiling and swore softly under his breath. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of bodies were fused into the stone. Some looked like they tried to escape, their arms reaching out in silent agony. Others knelt like the one before us, locked in eternal worship. My stomach turned. This wasn't a tomb. It was a shrine built of flesh. We returned to the camp in silence, neither of us willing to speak about what we had seen. The forest no longer felt alive in the way it had before. Now it felt like it was holding its breath. The wind had stopped, and even the insects were gone. The campfire that night didn't feel warm. We sat close to it anyway, like cavemen praying to a weak and fading god. Carrillo was worse. His face looked hollowed out, eyes rimmed with red. He mumbled to himself constantly now, sometimes in English, sometimes in a language I couldn't place. When I asked him what he was saying, he looked at me as if I should already know. "It speaks to me," he said. "The sleeper, the forgotten one, it's waking up." Ben pulled me aside that night. "We need to leave," he said, his voice low. "Carrillo's lost it, and whatever's down there, we're not equipped to deal with it." I wanted to agree, but some sick sense of obligation or curiosity, held me back. "Just a few more days," I told him. "We need answers." That night I dreamed again. This time it wasn't just shadows or strange sounds. I saw a temple deep beneath the earth, built from bone and sinew. A colossal shape stirred at its center, too large to see fully. Its skin was scaled like a dinosaur's, but layered with countless eyes and feathered wings that turned inside out. It opened its mouth and I heard not a sound, but a truth, something that broke my mind. I woke up gasping, and so did Ben. We looked at each other across the tent, both pale with sweat. "You saw it too, didn't you?" he asked. I nodded, too shaken to speak. "It's not just in the cave," he whispered. We decided to confront Carrillo in the morning. But when we went to his tent, we found only blood and torn paper. Symbols had been carved into the walls of the canvas with his own fingernails. His journal lay open, filled with sketches of the beast we had seen in our dreams. The last page simply read, John 8 verse 21. Panic spread through the team. 2 of the armed guards went missing within the hour. The others refused to enter the forest, claiming the trees whispered their names. One man shot himself after screaming that something had crawled into his skull. It was no longer just a research trip, it was a death sentence. Ben tried to contact the HQ for evacuation, but only static came through the radio. We decided to send a GPS ping in hopes someone will answer. The jungle had sealed us in, like the jaws of a beast. The sky darkened hours before sundown. A foul smell, like rotting meat, began to drift through the air. I covered my face with a cloth, but it didn't help. That night, one of the scientists began chanting. Grabbing a nearby knife, suddenly he plunged the blade into his stomach and began to gut himself. We tried to restrain him, but he tore free with impossible strength. His eyes sunken faintly, his mouth hung open. He spoke. "We are the chosen," in a deep guttural voice. "There is no God beside me." He dug his hands inside the laceration. He began chanting once again over. Wet squelching sounds coming from his body as he began pulling out his organs. Ben looked away, but I couldn't. The scientist collapsed and was pronounced dead soon after. Ben didn't sleep. He sat by the fire with his rifle, watching the jungle. I sat beside him, clutching a notebook, scribbling down every detail I could before it faded. "Do you still think we should have come?" he asked me. I didn't answer. But in my heart I knew the truth. We were never meant to find this place. The next morning, the corpse was gone, alongside the massive creature under the tarp. No tracks, no drag marks. But we soon realized the ground where it laid was burned into an enormous spiral. One of the guards became frantic. "It's gone!" he shouted. "It just woke up and took the kid with it." From that moment, all of us knew without a doubt we are being hunted. We didn't see it, not at first, but we felt it. Every step we took echoed louder than it should. Every tree we passed seemed to lean toward us. The shadows between the leaves moved wrong, like they had minds of their own. Something big was out there, and it wanted us afraid. One night, we heard the screams. Distant, drawn out, not entirely human. They echoed through the trees, bouncing off trunks and returning distorted. I couldn't tell how far away they were, or if they were even real. But they never stopped. Even after we stuffed cloth into our ears. Ben finally said what we were both thinking. "We're not going to make it out." I wanted to argue, to hold on to hope, but I couldn't lie to him. "Then we make sure someone knows what happened," I said. He nodded, and we started planning an escape, not for survival, but for testimony. We left that night with only our packs, my notes, and Ben's rifle. We didn't look back at the camp. It felt like we were leaving graves behind. The jungle swallowed us within minutes. We entered its mouth, and now we were crawling through its throat. We moved fast during the day and tried not to stop. But time bent strangely. The sun would rise, then sink again moments later. Sometimes we saw stars in daylight. Other times, we heard voices beneath the soil. "Keep moving," Ben would say. "Don't listen to them." Eventually we found a river, rushing and alive. We followed it, hoping it would lead to a village or a clearing. The water grew thicker, darker. Fish with no eyes swam backward. On the banks, bones stuck out of the mud like fingers. We rested in a hollow between roots. Ben took first watch. I drifted to sleep. In my dreams I saw memories not my own, civilizations swallowed, languages lost, prayers offered to something with wings, scales and hundreds of eyes. It did not love its worshippers. They were lambs in a wolf's den. I awoke to gunfire and screaming. Ben was firing into the trees, yelling my name. I scrambled to his side, and he shoved me down. "Go!" he shouted. "Don't look back." But I looked anyway, and I saw it. It didn't move like a beast. It moved like a thought, stretching through space in impossible shapes. Wings that split and reformed. Legs that shifted angles with every step. Its eyes opened in layers, each blinking a different direction. Ben fired until his rifle clicked empty. He turned to me, calm for a single moment. "Tell them," he said. In a flash he was swept away, pulled into the darkness. I ran. I didn't look back. I knew I couldn't help him. I can still hear the screams. I don't remember how I made it out. Days passed, hours, no. Years? I stumbled into a clearing where a rescue team had landed, drawn by our GPS ping. They said I was raving, covered in blood and carving spirals into my own skin. But I was alive. I was the only one. They took me home, drugged me up, sent me to a therapist, told me it was trauma, a hallucination, a mental break. But they didn't see the notes I kept hidden, the drawings, the sketches, the truth. Sometimes late at night hear it, poorly mimicking Ben's voice, beckoning me back. "It's still out there," it says. "And it's not done with you." I believe him. I'm writing this down for whoever finds it. For the next team, or the next fool drawn by the promise of discovery. Don't go into that jungle. Don't follow the spirals. Don't listen to the dreams. Because once you do, it sees you. And once it has you, it never lets go.